Let's ask the community.
Hey, Equity Mate.
I just had a question.
Hey, Bryce, I've got a question.
Answered.
Welcome back to Equity Mates. It is that time for a community question. Now, Ren, this one, we've just done a lot of content around superannuation. We did the series with Vanguard about 5 or 6 weeks ago that really, the aim was to try and, I guess, encourage people to engage and think about their superannuation fund if they weren't. And we went through ways in which you can easily do that and what you can do to make sure you're staying on track and those sorts of things. We've had a lot of great feedback, so thank you for everyone to tuning into that. And it's been awesome to see the Facebook community also have a lot of discussion around people taking action with their super fund. But there was some, I guess, commentary around people feeling a little bit anxious that they're later on in life and feel like that we were sort of suggesting that if you hadn't done anything early days, then you'd be missing out. So this question has come in from a community member. They said, I listened to your recent podcast regarding super, and to be honest, I feel really anxious about it. After listening to your podcast, I've been playing with a super calculator. The 2 million that you were talking about in the pod made me very anxious. If I push my retirement age to 70 and add my wife's expected retirement super amount, we're far off $2 million. I know you can't give any personal advice, but I was just wondering if there were any thoughts or tips that we could do to at least get closer to the aimed amount. So we just want to, I guess, address that feeling that some might be having around not having enough or being on track, because we certainly didn't want that to be the outcome of the content that we were doing. So I guess we start with the acknowledging that it can be anxiety inducing. But there are things to keep in mind to reduce that as much as possible. So firstly, I think it's worth noting the government has a social safety net with the aged pension. So you do have a backup.
So I think, that's the first important thing to keep in mind. The second thing is, I guess we could call it the duality of retirement planning. There's sort of two different numbers that are thrown around. So the 2 million that we spoke about was a function of the retirement planning rule, where they say aim for between 66 and 80% of your pre-retirement salary, and the 4% rule, which says you can expect to be able to draw down or draw a salary of 4% of your investment, of your retirement nest egg. And so that's sort of where people get in a number in the millions or 2 million to sort of think about as their retirement target. But then also, and this is where the duality of it comes in, the numbers from retirement organisations about what you need for a comfortable retirement are so much less than that 2 million. So these are the current balances. So for today, remember, there will be a bit of inflation between now and when you retire, but for today, the Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia say for a comfortable retirement, a single person needs $595,000 and a couple needs $690,000. So I think the important thing to keep in mind is that if you're hearing numbers in the millions and you're not thinking you're going to get there, the balance required for a comfortable retirement is far lower than that. So keep that in mind. But in saying that, if your super balance isn't where it needs to be, there are things that you can do. And the best way to address the anxiety, I think, is probably to lean into it and to say, all right, well, what can I do today to make myself feel better? So where do we start there?
Well, I think the first thing is get financial advice if you can afford it.
Really important to stress here that a lot of the big super funds offer free financial advice about your superannuation. And they will be more than happy to help you work through how you can have more in your super. Because that will mean they have more to invest. Like that's kind of what they're there for, to help you with your super. So like, I know Australian Super have it and you can call up or you can book a call. And I know a bunch of the other ones do it as well. So, if you feel like you can't afford financial advice because it is expensive, your super fund may have a subsidised version.
Option, yeah. The second thing is to consider that a lot of retirement planning organizations use terminologies like comfortable, modest, and pension lifestyles in retirement. And even in the example we just gave, we use the word comfortable. So I think it's looking at each of those and understanding, to what you said, Ren, what are the trade-offs that you need to do now versus later, depending on what type of lifestyle that you want in retirement. And that may then bring to light actually what you need as a balance, and it might be far more achievable than you perhaps thought it was. So just setting the time to do that and really working through that planning process.
Yeah, so to put numbers to that, the Association of Super Funds of Australia estimate that I gave earlier, the 595k for a single person, 690k for a couple, that's for a comfortable lifestyle. For a modest lifestyle, they say $100,000.
Really?
Yeah, because the assumption is that most of your basic lifestyle needs are met by the age pension.
Yes.
So, yeah, like having $100,000 in your super when you retire today, they still say you could cover all your basic needs and live a modest lifestyle. So I think the numbers can be a lot lower than what you might think they are.
Yeah. And I think that just is the third point. It's just acting now. Even if you think you're too late, there's things that you can do in your 40s or 50s. You still do have a couple of decades of compounding in front of you. So don't think that you've missed the boat. That's probably the worst mindset that you can have. But just understanding all those things, like understanding comfortable, modest, like those are really important things that the earlier you understand that, and leaning into it, the better decisions you can make going forward.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think, I've only got until I'm 65. But your super is then the money that needs to last for your retirement. And it's not like at 65, you'll pull all 100% of it out of investments and put it in, a term deposit or something that pays you an annuity. That money is going to last into your 80s or your 90s, hopefully. So it's like there's still decades in your retirement where you will have some portion of it invested. And so I think even if you feel like you might only have 10 or 20 years to retirement, you're hopefully going to have 10 or 20 years in retirement as well. So there is still a lot of time. And so I think doing everything you can now, it will still be worth it.
Yeah.
And in terms of what those things are, those things that you can do to boost your balance, I mean, the big ones are salary sacrifice, the extra contributions from your before pay tax. And that'll be up to like the concessional contribution cap, which this year is, at least last financial year was 27.5.
Yep.
After tax contributions, so this is contributing above the cap. And then you can also do spousal contributions. So a few of the questions we got, a spouse is working part-time or not working at all. You can also contribute more to their super, and then there's a tax benefit there as well. So if you really want to stretch your combined superannuation, make sure you're both maximizing the tax benefits available, even if only one of you are working. And look, after all that, we know that there'll be some people that have done all the work, have done all the planning, have maximized what they can afford to put in their super, and still feel like there may not be enough. I think it's probably worth just going back to where we started, which is we have a social safety net in this country. The age pension is there. You're not going to be destitute in retirement. And doing everything you can while you're working you're going to put yourself in a better situation.
I will say this about investing. Everything you do learn is cumulative. What I learned at 20 is useful.